I'm going to answer a question today that made me laugh when I read it. Um, this person asked if I had ever had a uh, stupid idea with the word stupid in quotation marks. And they've actually asked a good question before, so I'm very happy that they had a second question that was really good. Um, and I like this question just because it sounds insulting or um, it sounds kind of funny, but it actually allows me to share some good anecdotes. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Um, so I, my charger hold on, let me just plug my charger in. So I've had multiple stupid ideas over my life. I'll share a personal example and then I'll share a professional example. I'll start with the personal example first. There was a small window uh, where I was traveling with a Windows laptop, a MacBook, and a Chromebook, and I was actually taking these to school. I was taking some computer science courses at Rutgers University. So I was, traveling to the campus for like night classes, and I was taking these laptops with me. And the reason being, I was bringing my MacBook because I was working at the time, so it was my work device. I brought my Windows laptop because some of the softwares that we were using were only on Windows. So I have my MacBook, which is for work. Then I have my my Windows laptop. It was a Lenovo. It was for school, and then I had Chromebook. Now the Chromebook was for media consumption. So basically, if I wanted to maybe watch some YouTube video or browse some forums, I believe in separating everything. Like I don't like using my work laptop for Reddit or anything like that. Or I used to. I mean, now I just use whatever device I have. But I don't like to Netflix on my work laptop. I don't want to Netflix on my school laptop. Right? That was the mindset I had. So I was like, I had a third laptop just for Reddit, just for Netflix, just for YouTube. And that's just how I operated back then, is that the work laptop was the work laptop and that was sacred, and the school laptop was for school and that was sacred. Right? So I don't want to say it was a stupid idea, but my back hurt after like not even a few weeks. And I quickly abandoned that idea. I have no idea why I thought that would work. I just stuck with MacBooks because I actually eventually the softwares that we were using for the class, Rutgers got the Mac version of those, right? So these were paid softwares. Rutgers offered the Windows sort of license to the students, but they didn't have the Mac license. And that happened, for example, my brother went to NJIT, and there was a window sometime where I think Rutgers did not have Photoshop for Mac, but NJIT did, or something like, or there was some software where NJIT only had the Mac version for students to use for free if they had the the email address, but they didn't have the Windows version, and then Rutgers had the Windows version but not the Mac version. So it's just the way these universities have their agreements and their software suites is, who knows what rhyme or reason there is. But I did it for a few weeks. My back started hurting, and I got lucky though that Rutgers then sent out an announcement that they were increasing their software portal, and they added other tools, and I was able to download the tools onto my work laptop, which was my MacBook. And then I started using that for Netflix and whatever. And I left the Chromebook at home. I left the Windows laptop at home, and my back was still kind of hurting. It was still a little bit sore. So what I did was, instead of bringing like a backpack, I just started carrying a briefcase. I looked very busybody when I came to class. It was a little bit humorous. So that, I think, is a good example of a silly idea. I don't want to say a stupid idea, but it was an example of a silly idea that I had. But it's something I gave up on very, very quickly. A professional, silly idea that I had. I was working with a startup that was trying to make its own chat application, and this is way back in history, before there was as many alternatives as are today. There weren't that many back then. We had a Android application I think it was based on Java, but don't quote me on that. We were working on an iOS application, and we had a website. We had a website where you could actually, sort of like messenger.com, but not really. But you could make an online account, and you could also chat on a website. And I had the genius idea of coming up with a support forum where basically users could kind of talk to each other, because we were always moving buttons around and playing around with the settings and just changing the interface. And we would get, a lot of tickets whenever we made a change. So we had this idea that, hey, what if on the website we had a forum, a Q&A section where users who use our messenger application, not the Facebook Messenger, it's just an application for messaging. I'm really trying hard not to infringe on any trademark or anything like that. But if our users, if they want to start talking to each other and helping each other out, that could help us with customer support, because then we won't get all these tickets, right? Like maybe users can help each other out whenever they run into any sort of glitch or something like that. It sounds like a good idea, right? Where, you might have experienced customers who are good with explaining solutions. And if someone asks a question, someone else might have run into some sort of scenario like that. Like, for example, how do I delete my account or something like that? Or how do I turn on night mode? Or how do I do this? How do I change my font? Something like that, right? These are just examples. It quickly became a disaster, because what ended up happening is people would say, hey, what happened to this? And people would be like, I'm having the same problem. And then it was just, instead of people helping each other out, people became an echo chamber, and small complaints started snowballing. And then you would just have a lot of angry people talking to each other, then getting on each other's nerves, and then insulting each other. So very quickly that had to get shut down. But that's just an example of a time where, I'm at a company, I have what I thought was a good idea, and then very quickly there was no moderation, there was no control, because we couldn't manage it. It was a very lean startup, and it ended up just being a disaster. We had to axe the idea very quickly, just because of how aggressive people got, very, very, almost instantaneous. So this is a personal and professional example. Oops. Wow, I did not silence anything today. Sorry. So yeah, these are just two examples of a personal time. I had a not so bright idea, and then a professional instance where I had an idea that maybe wasn't the greatest.